Masters of the Apocalypse Anime Talks. I am your host, the Genius Prince Mas. With me is the Knight Mikkel.
Hey, thank you for having me back.
Good to have you, Mikkel. Also with us is the Filthy Flam lad.
Just because I have white hair doesn't mean I'm equal to any other man here.
Have you
Come at
read the
me!
scriptures? Our religion says you are evil, thus you are evil.
Come on, man. I just have some really severe eye irritation.
That's what they all say. So anyway, we're here to talk about the anime The Genius Princess Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Death. Try saying that title 10 times fast. So,
Mm,
since I'm the one who chose this anime, I'm going to give a short summary of what it's about. So, it's about this little kingdom in the north where it has a new prince regent, Wayne, and he has to try to make this little kingdom like prosper, while he personally feels that he and everyone is doomed because they are a little bitty kingdom, and what can you do with that? But because of his skills and luck, he ends up going surprisingly well. That's essentially the plot. So now each of you are going to give your short opinion about the anime before we get into the subjects. So, Mikkel, what did you think about the anime?
Yeah, I mean, it's all right, but it was a little hard to begin with because you get the feeling like it's just about this management, but it's starting to grow on me, and it's kind of like the humor how they're telling the story is really amazing. But yeah, I liked it, but it was a little hard to begin with this because there's not a lot of action to begin with.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
overall, I liked it.
All right, and Vlad.
hmm. I, I really like the management part and the strategizing parts. I could actually wish for more in it. But again, we also needed some time for some character development. And also, I understand why they did the pacing as they did. But yeah, again, maybe it picks it up in season two. Who knows?
Mhm. And as for me, I actually, when I first watched this anime, I actually hated it. But that's mostly because it's based on some books that I've been reading. And as it always is, when you're a fan of a book series that gets adapted into something else, you judge it based on how it is to the books. But and I don't, and it they did a lot with the adaptation. But once I got over how different it was from the books, and I began to like watch it for its own thing, then I started to actually enjoy it more, and I think that it's uh, enjoyable enough story for what it is. But I will always like think that the books are better. But that's just
Mm.
how I see it. But the anime by itself is pretty good and enjoyable, though it could be better. So let's get to it. So character analysis. We start with our genius prince, Wayne Salema Arbalest. And it should be noted there is a specific part of his personality trait that we are not going to talk about here because that's a later subject. So, how do you guys feel about our favorite Prince Regent?
He's a peacock, but I really like actually for royal garment design. His outfit is very fitting for him.
Hmm.
Um, which again I almost feel it's a very strong contrast to pretty much every female character in this cast because I don't know if it's again we don't have a history of this world, so we don't have anything to base it on, and it's very loosely based on some things we can find in this real world. But again, I digress. we don't know how the garment has evolved over time. So maybe some of the female clothing is actually very formal in coverage and all. But I really like his clothing because it's striking. It's red and blue, two very, again, historically royal colors. And it definitely strikes a great silhouette.
Would he have looked better if he had a crown on, do you think?
Yeah, again, many kings and queens in today is not wearing a crown. They are mostly for
Like ceremonies and the like.
ceremonies and that. So again, if you look at it in that way, that this is his formal business attire as a prince, I feel it's fitting.
Hmm. I see what you mean. I think that Wayne is the kind of character who would have some like general attire which would both could work as like meeting with some important political figures, but also like something he could move around in
Hmm.
like in combat or something.
Yeah, and walking around in his castle
Yeah.
is not a crowd. A crowd is a again, you can make it lighter, but it is more cumbersome than not having one.
Also, from what we know of the kingdom of Natra, that's the kingdom that Wayne rules. It's
Mm.
supposed to be like in the frozen north.
Mm.
So so from what we know, it should be cold, like in Natra, right?
And
So
it makes very much sense that he has this big coat of big, what is it called, garment.
cape.
It makes, yeah, cape. It makes sense that he has a big cape, so he can, maybe if he needs to walk outside his castle, he can bundle it up around himself to not get cold. Well, that is a strong contrast to the character right beside him, but
Ninan
that can
Rally, you
wait.
mean?
Yeah, that can wait.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So I would say one of Wayne's like biggest character traits is the fact that he's supposed to be like lazy, like he doesn't want to work, but he feels like he has to work.
Mm.
So I think that the reason why he has this like lazy character trait is supposed to make him both more like fun and also to be able to like us as the viewers to be able to sympathize with him more.
Mm. Yeah.
So do you guys think that works, or would you have rather have him be less lazy?
What's your opinion, Mikkel?
Yeah, I'm thinking, man. I wouldn't say I don't like it, but it took some time for me to get used to it because he's that laziness and the way he manages his kingdom is different compared to other princes.
Mm,
But I would say I missed a little more background about him because we don't really know much about his family or who he is. We
yeah.
haven't even seen his dad. I was like, do we see him at some point? But we never
Mm.
did.
No, they only
So
like mention him, I think.
yeah,
It
and I will
is.
refer to him as the crown prince, so we know he's there somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, I can tell you as a reader of the books that he is bedridden with sickness and still very
Ah.
Ah,
much alive, and that's why Wayne is only the crown prince regent. He is not the king.
mm,
Mm.
So yeah, and
Mm.
also the show itself does give a little bit of backstory to both Natra and like the dynasty, but it's very little.
Mm.
mm,
Like they mentioned that Wayne and his family they're like descendants from uh, this universe's version of one of Jesus's disciples, I think.
Mm.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's that whole thing with Wayne could become a holy elite, I think they call it. And the only way you can become a holy elite is if you're descended from one of the disciples from
Mm.
fiction Jesus.
Oh, that actually reminds me about one interaction between Wayne and Zenobia.
Mhm.
What? Yeah, he's actually, again, he's lazy, but there is some thought behind all that lazy. He's very wise. Again, he asked that question about when does someone become royal,
Mm.
and at what exact time. That was surprisingly very wise of him. It was very deep thinking. So
Yeah.
yeah, he is, again, he's lazy, but he has something to have it in.
Yeah.
Mm.
Is
I feel like
Yeah,
his smartness is something we're going to talk about later.
yeah.
So be careful with that.
Hmm.
But
Oh.
else, what you say? He has. Oh, he likes the bouncy parts of a woman's body. I can.
Mm.
The show shows that a lot.
How old is he? Do we know that?
He's probably around
Early 20s?
17, 16, 20,
Really?
something like that. All the. Okay, he's 16 according to the wiki.
Oh god damn. Well,
And
that is understandable too. When it makes sense.
yeah,
He has hormones in
I
in
will
his
say
body.
though, out of all the gags in the show, that was I think the way they portrayed it in the show was not as funny as it could. Yeah, I don't know. I think they
Nah,
leaned a
it's
little too heavily on the classic anime gag there.
yeah, but I don't think it came up that often. Actually,
Uh,
did it?
to me, it kind of annoys me because it's even less pronounced in the books. So I just
Well,
feel like
you have the books to go from.
yeah. Be warned, everything I say is gonna be like, how was it in comparison to the books?
uh well,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah. So anyway, do we have more
Nah,
we want to say about Wayne?
nah.
Nah.
All right, we'll go back to him later in a later subject. So let's talk
Hmm.
about Ninem Raleigh.
All right, let's go.
Wow. Okay, you have
Let's
an opinion
go.
here. I can hear.
Yeah, I have an opinion. Not only with Rayleigh, also with what? How do you pronounce that?
Lovelmina
Lo,
Earthfall.
Lovamina. Yeah.
Hmm.
Why all again? I don't understand why all the men's attire in this anime is very formal and very well put together. Again, they look like they look like they are people with jobs, and they are, again, and they have business attire for that job. Again, Vane is a royal. He needs to look a bit pompous, while again he is in business attire. It doesn't look incompetent. Um, and all I don't remember who they were, but the military people he had the guys with the blue garments,
Yeah,
the
the
blue
military
jackets. Yeah,
people.
that looked like military suits. They look business ready.
Mm.
But then we have the Fram and the Lomina. They look like they are ready to go out in the city. They don't look formal in any way. And it actually, I remember one scene where we saw Rayleigh from the side. It's just that's a fucking side boob right there. Why are you having a side boob in in your business attire? It doesn't make any sense. It's yeah.
I can tell you exactly why they're dressed the way they're dressed.
Oh, why?
We need
God.
to sell the
Of
figures.
course, of
We
course.
need the
Okay.
waifus to look
Oh,
hot.
yes, we need because the story doesn't sell itself, so we need waifus on the front of the
Why do you think
covers.
people watch this?
Uh, it's horrible. It's
People are not gonna buy a figure of Wayne. No, 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 no. They're going to buy a
actually,
figure of a scantily clad Ninem.
I actually think, uh, Earthworld. I'm just because it's so much easier to say. I actually think her attire is actually worse than the Rayleigh's because it looks like a jacket, but cut in the middle,
So we can see her
cut
belly
right at
button.
the belly. Yeah. Oh, and again, Rayleigh, she's supposed to be in this northern country where it's cold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it
just
doesn't really make
you
sense.
you yeah, you would be cold wearing that.
You know what I find
I
really
actually
funny? In like I think it's even in the first episode. I think where they're fighting like that modern military, where Ninem is
yeah.
also like riding on a horse and also fighting. They don't even give her armor. Like everyone else has armor. She
Mm.
has her regular clothes on. So yeah.
I actually think I actually think the best woman's attire in this whole series is actually Vane's little sister,
Felania Ilk Abeles.
Felania. Yeah, yeah. Her attire actually
It looks like a
it
princess attire.
yeah, it looks like a princess attire. It doesn't look like a girls' night out attire. It it doesn't look like a Friday night down in the city attire.
Hmm.
That actually looked decently formal. And I'm only saying this because it was the most formal of all of them.
Hmm.
Oh God, I'm looking at the wiki. Female characters. There's so much. Jeez, the uh, 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 the girl
Vlad, I think there are some technical issues. He
who
was kind of cutting right now.
I thought it was just my Wi-Fi. Yeah, I can't hear you either.
Yeah, also you're like coming in and out.
Yeah.
Now I can't hear you at all.
who is accompanying Earthworld.
What?
Well, you have Boop. Yeah, distract out of place way it was I cut off for a bit there.
Yes.
Oh no!
We didn't hear anything you said.
I had heard like
Oh
Only
no!
bites
My
of
words,
it.
then you came in and out. So you said
the
something
rant was
about boobs.
the rant was too hard for the internet. Well, I was just spouting how angry I was about
Oh, I got
all
that.
the
Don't worry.
informal. Oh, okay, but
Okay. Out of all the female characters, there's the character of Fische. I don't know how to pronounce that. Like she has relatively like formal wear.
yeah, why didn't they just go with that formula with all all the female characters because it works. It isn't distracting. It isn't. It, the problem is it isn't distracting because it's sexy. Sexy characters is all right. They can be sexy, but make it make sense.
Hmm.
Again, if the character wants to win another country over with charm and with I don't know sexiness and all that, that would make sense for a character to dress informally. But none of the characters does it. None of the characters we have seen yet uses that, and they are still wearing those clothing. Oh,
Yeah, like as far as sexiness goes, they're all like accidental sexiness. from
Yeah,
how the show shows it anyway.
Yeah, or just not well thought through sexiness.
How was it like?
Yeah.
Wayne mentioned that we can see like the big breast in that suit or dress, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. But the characters, the female characters, are shown as not realizing that Wayne is seeing their assets, so to say.
Yeah.
So I would
It's
say like
just
it's accidental sexiness.
yeah. Yeah.
I had a
Well,
thought,
what do
a way we could kind of like, at least when it comes to Ninum, to save it, but you could argue that it was like a traditional flam attire or something. But they never say
yeah,
it like that. But
yeah, but again, isn't the bodyguard, isn't she Fram too?
you mean Nanaki?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a boy.
No. No, seriously.
Yeah, that's a boy. That's
Is
a
it set in
whole
the
male.
series? Is it set in this in the anime?
Yes.
I didn't get that. Oh my god. What? Well, I fell for the trap. It's
You
a
did.
trap. It's a trap.
It's a
No.
whole trap, man.
Well, all right. Well, how?
I think you cut off again, Vlad. You need to keep your outbursts at a minimum, Vlad, because the connection can't handle it. Mikkel, do you have something to say to Ninim's character?
So this character is just all the character.
Right
I mean,
now, we're just talking about Ninim, but
okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel the same way with the clothes. I mean, that's not really my thing either. But other than that, she seems like a regular supporting character for the main character.
yeah.
The way I see it.
Um,
Although I miss a little more background about her because we know she's from sort of people
yeah, at least
that has
she's
some
from
issue with the empire or the kingdoms or something,
yeah,
as
she's
I
from
understood it.
the oppressed people
Mm,
of the Flam who are
Oppressed people, yeah.
who in
yeah.
the West are they're a minority that are oppressed.
Mm,
Yeah.
But Natra is the only kingdom in the West that are like okay with Flam. But in the Eastern Earthworld Empire, they're also okay with the Flam.
Mm.
One thing about her character that I like is that they make it clear that she has a crush on Wayne. That she likes Wayne,
mm,
but she is
Mm.
respectful of his position of being crown prince, so that she knows that um, it would be not in his interest or the kingdom's interest for them to form a formal relationship. So she is actually hoping for that not to happen.
Yeah.
That's a part of her character that I really like.
Yeah, I see. Because it was clear that she liked Wayne from the start. And then
Pretty
you
much,
realize,
yeah.
okay, she won't actually do anything about this.
hmm So I really like that conversation she has with Falania, the princess,
Mm.
where she's like, if she were to seduce Wayne, that she would have to take her own life, like as repentance, something
Yeah.
like that. Which well, like, it shows how loyal she actually is.
Yeah.
mm,
So yeah, in general, I would say she's the competent, hot assistant
mm.
for the most part.
Mm.
Well, it doesn't stop her from sitting on his lap.
What more would you want from a
No, no.
competent, hot assistant?
It's just no. Oh, I don't know. It's I just I would like if that's the way they are going with the character she really likes him, but out of respect she keeps her distance and not and isn't trying to do to make a relationship with him. Why does she sit on his lap, and why does she do all these things again. It's just, yeah. It's again I think the thing she says is not very shown in her actions. That's why I'm a bit irritated. I think that's the pinnacle. That's the essence.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but.
Hmm.
So, should we move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Lovelmina Earthworld, the I was about to call her also a crown princess, but she's not. She's a princess of the Earthworld Empire, where her two older brothers, or I don't know if they're older, her
That's
brothers,
free. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
her,
free, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's
That
three
was
of them.
free,
Yeah,
brothers.
her three brothers are fighting for the right to succeed as emperor of the Earthworld Empire, where she wants to also like put her head in the game, so to say. She wants to become empress, but
Hmm.
the succession laws of the empire makes it so that women can inherit. And she also has a cross on Wayne.
Hmm. I really like her. I like the interaction between Wayne and her because they both have some dice in the game here. They are constantly trying to one up each other and getting a little bit a bigger end of the deal every time they make an agreement. I really like that interaction, and sometimes it plays out more for Earth Princess of Earthworld terms, and sometimes it plays more in Vane's goods. Again, it's a cat and mouse thing. I really
Yeah,
like that thing. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I agree. I think this show's greatest strength is with its like when kind of like in Death Note when smart people are trying to one up each other with
Mm,
like
yeah.
plans and um, like being smarter than outsmart each other. That's the word I was looking for.
Mhm.
And as far as stories go, I mean, Succession Crisis and being the woman in the Succession Crisis is classic, and it works. I would say. I think she fills that role pretty well. Though
Mhm.
one part of the show which she's a part of that I'm not that big a fan of are the flashbacks to the part when like they were at the Imperial Academy or whatever it's called, like her
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Wayne and Ninem and the other people. I was never a big fan of those flashbacks.
Huh. Why?
Yeah.
I just thought they were kind of boring. Like I wanted to rather focus on the here and now, and I felt like the flashbacks were not giving us enough to really be significant.
Mm, mm, yeah. Maybe it would have been enough just to say they have history there and they helped each other out
Mm,
back in the day. Because that's pretty much the essence behind all the flashbacks, right?
yeah.
They're good friends from back in time. They helped each other. It yeah. The flashbacks are maybe a little bit redundant in that term.
Like that. There's only one flashback which I feel has is like good that they have. It's the flashback when Wayne and Lovelmina are talking about like what she should do in order to gain influence.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but well, that's also something that we'll talk about later because then it's about Wayne's prowess as
Intelligence.
yeah, his intelligence. But as far as Lovelmina's intelligence goes, I would say that the show does a good job of showing her as intelligent, though she does come off as not as intelligent as Wayne.
Hmm.
But they also make it clear that she's at a disadvantage position
Yeah.
in comparison to everyone else.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say like it's her story arc that actually has one of the funniest moments in the show, where I can't remember what his name was. No, that fat drunk lord that wants to
Oh
marry
yeah.
her
Oh.
comes and he falls off the window and just everything that
Yeah.
has to do with that lord
Yeah.
is so funny.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
I know, and I love how both Wade and Lovelmina like tries to like scheme and come up with plans on how best to use him, but because he's such an idiot, he ends up tearing apart their plans because they can't figure out
Yeah.
what the hell he's gonna do. And shout out to his voice actor. He does a great job of making this
Mm.
buffoon sound as ridiculous as
Uh,
possible.
yeah.
I love the way he says
You,
sword when he says sword. Like the
yeah.
silent
Sword.
W. He says it. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a very funny character. He was a very
Yeah.
good character.
Yeah. One thing I have to. We already kind of talked about their appearance, but if we're going to take that up again, when you think about it, for a princess having a big hole where your stomach is, where you could be easily stabbed, doesn't really make
Yeah.
sense. It's like stab me here.
Yeah. Yeah. Big target right here. All my
Yeah.
vital organs.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, other than that, she looks like she's ready for a party, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like she's ready for a night out.
Hmm.
That doesn't look like formal business attire. And again, it would make sense again if it would make sense if she was from a hot climate country, but she aren't. It's temperate. It's normal. It's very medieval Europe ish.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure. Like, the Empire is one of the thing with the Earthworld Empire is like it's a really big empire which has. I would assume. Okay, we don't know how big it actually is, but I'm gonna assume that it has like different climates depending on where in the empire you are. So I would
Yeah,
think
but
that
you would assume if she goes to a cold country, she would take some hot clothes on. That doesn't look hot at all. That looks very arid and very. You could become very sick from wearing that in
Mm,
a cold country.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can't come up with any more defenses.
That isn't Amy.
So did you enjoy the bath scene with her, Vlad?
No, she's she's too young, man. She's a minor in my eyes. A wee baby.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I don't really have more to say about Lovelmina at this point. Do you guys want to add something?
No.
No,
Nope.
I'm good.
All right. So now we have Zenobia Marden, who I actually really like her character.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
because she's the real underdog character who's just essentially in a really bad starting position and then just tries to do her best with everything that's happened. And I would say she succeeds for all intents and purposes as well as she could.
hmm
So yeah, and she
I
also
really
has
like.
like
Yeah.
no,
No, you're first.
okay.
You're first.
And she's also the I don't know if the only well she's significant for actually having several like different uh like outfits really
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to
Yeah.
all the other characters. So yeah, that was my take. You can take it. From
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. But again, as you said, she has more than one outfit. She has a more princess outfit, big dress. Again, she is showing cleavage, which I don't know, but yeah, but she also has this. Again, it looks like it looks a little bit like a teenage Halloween costume wants to
Hmm.
be a military, but again, in this world, it's military attire. I can see past that. It's military attire in this world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good concept that if the general public hasn't seen her because she has been in her castle all her life and has been sheltered. Yeah, it's a good way to actually get out, put on some other clothes and take another personality. That's a good way to actually know what happens around you without without being afraid that someone will lie to you or someone would behave differently because maybe because you are in another league than them. Again, you are a royal, but in this character she has made, she's not a royal.
Mm.
But yeah, that's a I actually think it's very interesting and a, a, a good way for her to make decisions.
Completely agree. And I also think like her story with Martin that first starts out as like the first boss you can say, but then it actually becomes like an ally later. I think the story handled that really well. Because when Martin is first defeated, I assumed that, oh, well, I guess that's it for that country. I guess we're not gonna see any more of that. But then, shock of all shock, we joined the resistance.
Yeah.
And then they become a vassal of Natra, and all is good. So I just really enjoyed that story arc.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Mm.
I also really like that Rayleigh and Vane they thought all about this that if we keep on making business with Martin, they will have more they will have more power in the future. But when they talked to her, that she didn't have any of those plans. It's just yeah, it's a cool interaction because it's very stark contrast to how will they deal with Lovelmina. Again, that's always a cat and mouse thing where they need to think about what end of the deal they're gonna get. But with Martin, it's this ended as good as it could end at the best terms.
Then of course we have like the way it ended was you could say it's good for Natra, but it's bad for Wayne because it gives him essentially more work because now with Martin as a vassal state, he also has to make sure that nothing bad happens to Martin. So yeah, so I did find that interaction really funny, where Wayne is like, ah yes, after everything I have done now, Martin is back and they'll owe us a favor, and now we can use them as a shield against any other nation that might want to do us bad. And Zenobia is like, nope, we declare ourselves to be your vassals. So now you have to protect us and help us, our nation grow, because now we serve you, bitch. Mm. So yeah, great. And this also comes to that running gag of Wayne being essentially like better than he thinks he is. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, just her art was just really good. I think that's the takeaway from this. And it's also in her arc that we see all the other characters, like in the East, like the Holy Elite, as I mentioned before, and also the next character we are about to talk about. Should we go to her?
Yeah.
Yeah, Calmelia. And what was her position again? She was like high priestess or something.
She doesn't look like it.
Okay, she is the
Doesn't look like
director
it.
of Lavetia's Gospel Bureau.
Yeah. She looks like someone who's ready for Halloween's out, like a sexy nun.
Yeah.
They do make her look as sexy as possible, I admit.
It's just
While giving her nun outfit. Sexy nun, yeah.
yeah, but again, why? That's all also one thing because again, I understand you go the easiest route to make someone look like a holy figure, someone who works in some kind of church. It's not it's specifically not a Christian church. She's not a it's not a Christian as an inspire. But why is the clothing and the it seems like it is inspired by Christianity, at least in the clothing.
I
Why
would say it
is
didn't
why?
very much
But
inspired
why?
by Christianity. But yeah.
She's clearly inspired. Her clothing is clearly inspired by Christian nuns.
Yeah.
Why? Why make it sexy? Why?
Because they need to sell it.
Yeah.
I know, we've been here before.
It's bad.
Uh,
Yeah. I sound like a broken record.
Hey, I do the same thing, so.
But it needs to be said. God damn it!
So yeah, so the reason why she's here at all in character analysis is because she is the closest thing that the show has to a villain, and she's a recurring villain.
I really like how her interactions out again every time she says anything, it's meant to sound like but it is for the betterment of the belief and for the
The
for
Levidian
the
people and the belief of
for
Levidia
all
and
the
that.
believers for the yeah for
Mm-hmm.
the God and what is their belief again? What is it called?
It's called Levidia.
Levidia, for all the Levidian people, yeah.
Yeah.
But every time we hear her inside voice, it's she's clearly power hungry in many ways.
I would also call
Yeah,
her slightly insane, but that's just me.
yeah.
What I love is how she can both like in this. This is also props to the voice actors, in that the same way she can talk about that we have to kill hundreds of people is the same like way she can talk about how that well according to the Gospel of Leviticus we have to help all of these poor people. So like the same way she's talking about murdering innocents, she can talk about helping poor lost souls. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also love that she is a character that our main character Wade can't predict.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like whenever he tries to think like, oh, what will she do? Whatever and anything she says goes completely like it's completely unexpected for him.
Yeah.
So in that
Yeah, she
regard, she
didn't.
works really well as a villain.
Oh, I really thought that the way Vane used the refugees against her, she didn't see that coming at all.
Mm.
It was, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I agree. There are some pretty good like what can I say? It's like gambles in the show
Mm.
with the refugees from what was that city called? I can't even remember. That city with the merchant
Market
city.
City. Yeah, the Merchant City.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And where the other guy, who I also wish we could have here, but we can only have 5 characters, that king of soldiers, Broyer, or whatever he was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he is also a great character because he has his own ideas of what he wants, and if that doesn't align with what Camellia wants, then fuck her.
The interesting thing about him, he's also a believer.
Yeah, but he has
He
his
all
own
he
way of showing his belief.
yeah.
Hmm.
That I thought that was very interesting because
Yeah.
I thought again I thought he used his beliefs to actually just gain power, but it actually at a later point we actually get an insight of how he takes belief and again how he believes. That's interesting to see because Clemilia and him, the way they believe are clearly differently, but they are still united under that belief banner. Which is a powerful thing. Again, it is used in history many times that okay, maybe we have different ways of believing, but we are all united under this one thing. That's enough. Let's go to war.
So yeah, I agree. That's a great part of the show. And do we have more we want to add to Calmilia's character? I would say that as a book reader, we will see much more of her if there ever comes later seasons because she's a recurring villain of the show essentially.
Okay.
I don't have anything more to add.
What you do now, because catering to YouTube historical channel fans is your subject.
It's I came up with this topic because the animations in the first what is it called, the thing with the mine, the siege, the mine siege.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I didn't get flashbacks to all the historical channels where you and me have seen, Mass, with all the small chess pieces with the battalions and the men and all that. It just reminded me so much of it, and I actually really hope that it would have been used more, but they went to other ways of signifying the battalions and men and all that, which is actually I thought it was a bit sad because I don't know, maybe it's just because I combine, I really, when I see that, I see something else, and that I really thought that was a funny way to symbolize that because it was simple. It was probably much more easier to make than again animating a whole army's battling. Just put some chess pieces and move them around against each other. But I could imagine that is easier, and I actually don't think it didn't take from the story because we still got reactions from Vane and reactions from the, I don't know, the general of the other army.
Enemy commander.
What was happening on the battlefield, and you can imagine that some other people are actually moving these pieces around the map right now, and they are reacting to it. So yeah, I really hope that they would use that way of showing battles in the future episodes, but they didn't. They went other directions. Again, that is probably just a preferable. That was probably just something I would have preferred if they have kept it. But yeah, again, it didn't take from the later episodes, but it was a nice touch.
I mean, I agree with you with that that whole moving of the chess pieces thing. That it works when you're like trying to show an overall battle situation. But if I'm going to like defend the show a little by for not using that more, there isn't actually that many like huge battles in the show. Like much of the later like battle is more smaller battles, like in
They're
cities or
more.
they're being chased or
They're more skirmishes than battles, actually. Yeah.
So I would say it makes
You're right.
most sense to use that in the first battle that we see, where we have two huge armies
Right.
just clashing. What do you
You're
think,
right.
Mikkel?
No, I was surprised when I saw it in the beginning, but yeah, I think it's a different way to show a battle. But I like the humor with it.
Oh yeah, same. What I like the humor is that both the enemy commander and Wayne are like surprised at what's happening. where Wayne is like,
Yeah.
"Wait, are our soldiers that good? Like, damn." And then his what's funny because his Wayne's subordinates are like, as expected of our great prince's plan, everything is working as he foresaw it. And Wayne was like, "Oh, hopefully we won't lose too badly." And then he just dominate. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. So yeah, we do we have more to say here? I mean, Larry, this was
No,
your.
no.
Topic?
I was just. It just reminded me of the YouTube historical channels, and I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a reason why those channels they use battlers like that because it's
Mm.
simple and it works. Most people understand it, and as we
Mm.
saw, it can even work in anime.
Mm.
So great. Medieval setting is best setting. This one was mine, and it's pretty straightforward. This show uses a medieval setting, and one thing that actually makes this anime stand out from most other medieval settings in anime is the fact that there are, as far as I can see, no fantasy elements to be found in the
Yeah.
show.
Mm.
And I actually really like that. And it's not because I dislike fantasy or anything. No, I love fantasy, but it's nice to see something different as well.
Mm.
So I would actually like it if more animes had, I don't know, normal settings at times as well. Just because
Mm.
we're over right now we're overflowing with animes with that has either fantasy or sci-fi elements where it's not
Mm.
always necessary for a good story.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, and to me this makes the show really stand out. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, when I saw it, I did expect a little more like fantasy elements as well, but I like that it just stick to the basic,
Mm.
and no sci-fi or fantasy, no dragons coming out of nowhere. So I think that's a nice touch to just keep it keep it simple.
That would be quite the twist. What do you think, lad?
Again, as you're a fantasy fan too, and I'm also a fantasy fan.
Mm.
But yeah, you're right. In many animes, it's fantasy elements is really just used as a garnish on the story,
Yeah.
and I actually can see at your point, at your point of view that it's many times it's not necessary.
Hmm.
Mm.
I've come up with a small example with an anime, and also another anime that didn't use fantasy elements. You and I, like, we both like the anime of Vinland Saga, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
they had magic in Vinland Saga, that would not make that better. I think they would actually make it worse.
oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But
So that's just another example of that.
but yeah, you're right that medieval or medieval inspired animes are often very they put fantasy in
Yeah.
often than not.
Hmm. And also, that's
So,
something that I realized before that people have a tendency to think fantasy setting and medieval setting is the same thing.
uh,
Like
yeah.
you and I, like we once went over some animes on I think it was the website My Anime List or something,
Mm-hmm.
where there's that Netflix anime, you know, oh, what was it called? The one about that girl who writes letters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and in
Yeah,
I think that has in the website My Anime List, it has gotten the fantasy genre put there, and
yeah.
it has no fantasy. I wouldn't say it has any fantasy elements.
It doesn't really have any. Again, the only fantasy-esque thing is her arm, which
Isn't it more
is
sci-fi?
metal and moves, but you could brush that off with saying, "Oh, it's just very well made mechanical
Yeah.
things."
Like the thing is, it happens in the past. Like it's not
Yeah,
happening in the now times. It's happening in the before times. That's why people giving it the fantasy check mark.
yeah, yeah. Medieval and fantasy is very often bunched together, but
Yeah,
don't
they don't
really
have to.
have to.
I can actually come up with a not medieval fantasy anime that I really like. A certain magical index that has plenty of
Ooh.
fantasy elements, and it happens
Hmm.
in modern day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mikkel, if we just mentioned a bunch of stuff you haven't heard about.
No, it's fine. I'm just drinking tea in the background.
Super.
Actually,
Okay.
now that we are looking at the map, because again, I really like some solid world building. That's fine, fine wine for my taste buds.
Mm.
I don't know if it's if you look at it, it's very this continent or this world. If
Let's
we
say
have other
continent.
continents, that would make sense. But if this is the only continent on this world in this world,
Mm.
it's actually a very new world because the continents has not broken up yet.
Hmm.
Again, in that way, it resembles something like the supercontinent
Pangea?
yeah, actually, yeah. Am I the only one who's seeing it?
Like, are you expecting all of like Earthworld to break off or something?
I no, not at all. But it's just interesting that, especially in the form, because it doesn't look like anything we have today.
I don't think that it's I don't think it's as big as you're imagining, because when we see them travel, they travel by like horse cart, right? And
Yeah.
doesn't it only take them, I don't know, a few days, maybe weeks before they get from one country to another?
You're right, but how big
And
would
also,
it
if we go by
be?
scale, like I think they say in like the first episode or something that in Natra they have like 500,000 inhabitants.
Oh, that's small. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I don't. So it's no. I don't think the continent is as big as you're imagining it.
Hmm. Okay.
Then again, I'm speculating here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
One other thing about the setting that I wanna pay some attention to is that this show actually has done something that I think is pretty clever. In that it has two stories that it changes from. It has the one story where we have the where Natra is the neighbor to the big empire, Earthworld
Hmm.
Empire, and it has to try to survive between a huge neighbor that's like a superpower. And then we have the other story, which is Natra among other smaller nations just like itself, and it has to try to survive among a cavalcade of nations.
Hmm.
And I think it's pretty clever how they, in one story arc, we focus on the trying to survive among all the smaller nations, and then in the other next story arc, then we are focused on how to survive in being a neighbor to a huge superpower nation, and then they sometimes uh, like hit each other. Those story arcs.
Hmm.
I just think it's pretty clever setup for a story.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I have to bring up because I'm a fan of history is that this medieval setting, it is a fictional medieval setting.
Hmm.
Just so
Hmm.
everyone knows that this is not a good representation of how the medieval world looked like at all.
No, no.
Just if anyone was wondering that, I just have to bring that up.
Hmm.
Like any fan of medieval history can tell you all sorts of flaws if this were supposed to represent actual medieval world, which it does not at all.
Hmm.
So now that we have that out of the way, let's move on. Is he way too smart and overconfident? This was yours, Mikkel?
Yeah, because that was my major issue with this story. Because in the beginning, I thought it was all right that he was smart and that he knew how to handle his kingdom. But I just think it's getting a little flat along the story because he's just too smart. He knows everything. He knows every move, and finally, when something happens, he just seems to just easily, fix it.
Mm.
It doesn't feel like there's like a consequence of his action. That's just the way I felt
Hmm.
when I watched it.
Yeah,
Because you don't really see a situation when he's like, "Oh, I can't get out of this," and you spend like two episodes. It's like one episode, and then it's pretty much keep going.
mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
So I
kind of.
would just like to talk about your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I would agree that the one part of this show which I feel is a bit hard to buy personally is the fact that Wayne, his thought process is in a way he's way too modern in a way. Like he has none of the problems that everyone else in this world has. Like he's not he's not racist like some of the other characters.
Mm.
He's not sexist. He in fact has the solution to sexism according to himself, which he says tells Lobelmina, and
Mm.
he is not um, what's it called when you're looking down on people because of religion. I don't know. He's not religiously biased, and essentially he doesn't put any stock on dynasties and royal blood.
Mm.
And for someone who lives in a medieval setting like he does, that's kind of weird
Hmm.
and hard to buy in a sense.
Yeah,
So
in that way, his way of ruling it really sticks out
yeah,
from the
but they
norm.
also don't come up
Mm.
with a reason for why he thinks so differently. Like, was he just born with these
It,
traits?
yeah, it would have been nice to actually get some history around. It could have been a great segue to his relationship with his dad, and maybe we could have had a great interaction of him talking with his dad, and the dad asking about, well, son, do you know why I raised you like this? Because this is the most prosperous way to rule
Mm-hmm.
up. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
something, something.
yeah,
Backstory, family, always done it like this. This is how our
yeah,
nation has been able to thrive, yada yada, something like that.
yeah. It just so there's a reason why it is done like this. Because right now we just, oh, he's just a good character, and we need to like him. So he can't be racist. He can't be sexist. He
Yeah,
needs to be generally likable.
yeah, and there was
Uh,
Mm.
that you mentioned before, like his views on bloodlines.
oh
that talk
yeah,
he has with
yeah.
Zenobia, which to me that's like kind of like one of the biggest. That's impossible. uh,
Mm,
Almost like if someone a royal in a medieval setting where bloodline is essentially what gives you political power
mm.
doesn't believe in the political power of bloodline.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of hard to believe. I guess he comes
yeah.
up with a pretty good explanation for why bloodline doesn't have political power. But I
Mm.
also
Mm,
feel like someone in his position would not have, at his age, would not have come up with these conclusions like that.
yeah. And
It
would
is a bit hard
probably
to believe.
not be so nonchalant about it.
Yeah,
That is the perfect that is the perfect mixture for uprising right there.
yeah, which is something he is very worried about.
Hmm.
I do think that Miguel, I don't think he's that overconfident because he's almost always expecting someone to try to overthrow him, which of course they won't because they actually like him a lot more than he thinks. But he's always like making it clear that he's worried that he will be overthrown in an uprising.
Hmm.
Mm.
It always starts out with him not believing it will go out as planned. Yeah, he
Mm.
actually always actually expects the worst
Yeah.
for most of the time actually.
Mm.
But again, he's a sore loser when it goes his way. Uh,
Oh yeah.
that yeah, he's a sore no, not a sore loser. He's a sore winner.
Mm.
He boasts about it like a child.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. He's a teenager.
Like if I
So
was a 16-year-old newly crowned Prince Regent and I had managed to do all the things that he had done, I would also be smug as heck. Like,
yeah, believable.
yeah. Though I will say, like, part of the story is the fact that he doesn't actually want to be crowned regent because he sees no good prospects out of it. But then he ends up just making the kingdom more prosperous and making more
Mm.
work for himself. I think that's part of the the humor of the show.
Mm.
Like him kind of
Yeah.
there's both his like great skill and him being him being a genius, as the title says. But then there's also the luck part. I think there's a lot of luck involved. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and it's always in a way the show portrays it in a way so that it's kind of good for the kingdom but bad for what Wayne actually wants.
Mm. Yeah, because he actually just wants to. I think in the start of the series, he said he just wants Notre to become a wealthy country so he can sell it off for a
Yeah.
high price, right? Yeah.
And that's why at one point he tries to. The show kind of skipped over it almost, but like at one point he tries to become a vassal state of the Empire.
Mm.
Yeah. So he does stuff like have the Empire train his soldiers so that his soldiers would be loyal to the Empire to make it seem like he is like bending the knee. But then the succession crisis happens, and now he has these really well trained soldiers that isn't loyal to the Empire, and the Empire can't do anything about it because of the succession crisis. And Fish, the character of Fish, is like, "Oh, I went into your trap. How could I not have seen how dastardly brilliant he was?" And Wayne was like, "What? What just happened?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I
I
think
would
what?
I would say one thing that it feels like it as we have seen in the story so far, it has always went in his way one way or another. Am I not right
Yeah.
in that? Yeah, I would actually like, maybe if there will be a season 2, I would actually want to see a step back.
Like him failing, like someone getting the
Yeah,
better of
yeah,
him.
yeah, and needs to actually make either make a good thing out of a bad situation, or actually overcoming it and make a comeback.
Mm.
Because right now it feels like he's just taking another step on a stair.
Yeah, on a winning streak, you mean?
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. He's on a win streak, and yeah, that maybe that's where the too smart comes from. Again, it feels like, oh, if he just thinks enough, he can overcome everything, but that's not reality.
Mm.
You can think sometimes you're just dealt a bad hand, and you will have to overcome it. And again, that's maybe something I miss a little bit from the series. It didn't feel like there was any step back. There
Mm.
was only, again, there was a hard situation. He overcame it. New hard situation. He overcame it. New hard situation, and brother, and yada yada yada. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You want him to like fail at one point, and then you want to see
Yeah.
like wait till he redeem himself, try to fix it. Because that
Yeah.
was kind of weird here, because it feels like just each episode is just a new story, a new issue he has to fix. Because
Mm,
in each episode he's just got an issue and he's fixing it and moving on. And
mm,
as you said, it takes a new step each time.
mm,
So I was missing like something like a mid point of no return in this story where he's like, oh shit, my nation is dying of hunger or something, stuff like that,
Mm.
mm,
that you
mm,
want him to try to fix, not immediately, but try to fix it.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I think was missing in this season. But hopefully we'll get a little more like that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But one thing I would like to see is like the show always makes Wayne look morally superior to everyone else. Like he never has to do
Mm.
any hard choices. I would really like to see a point
Ooh.
where he has like he ends up the only way he can win is by doing something that he feels is morally wrong.
Mm.
Mm.
Like, okay, let's say this is a completely fictional scenario that he has the only way he can win is by having Calmilia help or something. But then, of course, the only
Mm.
way he can do that is he by I don't know kill some flam or something. For example, I don't know.
Yeah,
Something like that.
or
Like he has to do
maybe
something that he finds repulsive, but it's the only way for him to win.
yeah, or maybe sending out a some kind a small militia of men out
To
to be
die.
a distraction. Yeah, to die, to be a distraction. Well knowing that they will die.
You know what I'm imagining now, that then there's like they're his subjects, of course, and then they like one of them has uh like a scene where before
Oh,
he's going out to die, he's talking with his family, and he's telling his little daughter of 4, like, don't worry, you can trust the prince. I
yeah.
will return. Something like that. He has
The
always
prince
brought us
have a
victory
plan.
in the before. I mean, he will do so again. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, where they're like celebrating victory and all that, and then the little girl comes out and asks,
Yeah.
"Wait, like, where's my
Yes.
father? Why didn't he come home?"
Yes.
Something like that.
And Prince Wayne seeing all this interaction, the father kissing his little child goodbye from the window and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that. Oh
And he has to
no.
lie to his soldiers and tell them that they're. Oh, of course, he's not going to tell them they're on a suicide mission. That
No, of course not.
because they're a proud member of the natural army, and he cares about all of them. Something like that.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
that would actually be a very good character development for him.
And oh, I would love something that. And then Falinia, the princess, she of course looks up to Wayne and sees him as the perfect prince.
Ooh,
That
yeah.
would kind of like, she would find out all of this, and then she would lose some
Respect.
some respect for Wayne, and they would also need for her to get some character development. Both accept that her brother isn't perfect, but also kind of accept that in the game of ruling kingdoms, sometimes you might have to do something that's difficult.
Bad.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a good fanfic you just wrote.
but Mess, we can't have that. He needs to be a great a character that we always likes and
Ah,
that
yes.
the reader can mirror themselves in. We can't have that.
Of course, we can't have deep characters
No,
and flawed
no,
characters. No, no, no.
no. Stop with that. Look at the side group and buy our figures.
Mm. Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
well,
So, yeah, let's move on. Power level. Vlad, this is yours.
power level. Well, again, we have talked about Prince Vane's smart, his brain power,
Mm.
but he's also a pretty great swordsman, actually.
That he is. He cuts off that guy's
Yeah.
head with like one swing.
Oh yeah, that is actually one thing I also want to talk about. Every time someone gets something cut off,
Oh,
they
armor is
they are
useless.
what?
Armor is useless in fiction, just so you know.
Yeah, but they are very non-shocked by it. They don't roll around in pain. They immediately look up and starts talking. It's just, God damn it, dude! You just lost a whole arm. Take a few seconds to don't know, show pain, be in pain.
Nobody got time for that.
No.
We only have 24-minute runtime, dude.
Oh yeah. We don't have time to feel pain. Needs to get some dialogue in. But yeah, as we know, Prince Wayne, Princess Earthworld, and Nimi really the Fram girl. They all went to her. They all went to the Royal Academy or something.
Yeah, and they were top of their class even, from what we
Yeah,
heard.
but I actually think that Vane. Again, I know that he has there was probably a lot of swords fightings in that academy, but I just feel it's a bit boring that he has brain power and he's also good with a sword.
Yeah.
It's not okay. One character can't be this powerful. It's again and that thing where he throws a dart and says it's poisonous, and then it wasn't, and all that. He's good at everything.
Mm.
It makes him a bit. Again, where the fuck is his kryptonite? Where's this Superman's kryptonite?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. I do see what you mean. That he's Batman essentially. He's good at everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Again, I understand that combat isn't this anime's focus point. So every time Vane is in combat, it's something that should be looked. It's something that should be over with quickly because we want to get to the politics and to the scheming again.
Mhm.
But I would rather have more scheming around how can I avoid this fight and how can I
Yeah.
do something else than fighting, than him going through a fight very quickly.
Mhm.
Again, he has a bodyguard. Why isn't he using that guy to maybe, I don't know. I just feel it's a bit lazy for him to. Oh, he has been at this academy. He's a very good sports fighter. Well, let's get through this very quickly. Let him win this sword fight. Let him kill 3 men in a room and, don't know, look badass. I don't know, but
Mm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I feel in that regard, I don't feel you can't have both the brain cake and you can't have a piece and the muscle cake. You need to choose with the character.
To
Yeah.
be fair, he's not the only character that has both the brain cake and the muscle cake.
Yeah, you're
There's
right.
also
The,
the
the
King of
king,
Soldiers,
yeah,
King
yeah,
Gurier or whatever his name was.
yeah.
Yeah, he is also
But again, he's an enemy. I think it's a little bit different from. I digress. You say what you want to say.
yeah, like he is also like Wayne good. He's both smart and he's good with a. It's not an axe he's using. That thing he uses as a weapon.
Hmm.
So it's not like a unique thing to Wayne. But
Hmm.
I do see what you mean in that. I mean, you can come with some examples, some other anime characters like in Code Geass, Lelouch. He's a big brain dude, but they make a
Hmm.
point in that anything physical that he's either bad or mediocre at it.
Hmm.
So that's why he has to have other characters do all those things for him. And
Hmm.
another character who doesn't really represent it that much because it's not shown. Really, in Death Note, Light Yagami, they don't show him being bad at sports or anything, but his only pronounced feature is really his brain power.
Hmm.
And I do agree that that does help make them more rounded characters and also a bit more interesting characters.
Hmm. Yeah. But I don't know. That was just a thing I felt was a little bit. I don't know. He's just too well rounded. I wanted to see him excel at some things and
And be
very
bad at
much
something
not.
else.
Yeah. It makes for a better character. It makes for a more interesting character. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mm.
I will say it kind of does ruin the. It would ruin the humor a little bit in the fact that the humor is of course that him being good at everything, but him expecting himself to be mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the humor.
Again, in that regard, you can actually say that his negative thing is his confidence. He has no confidence
I would say he has
until he
no confidence, but maybe not
until he
in.
actually succeeds.
I think it's
He
more
has a
like
lot of confidence.
I think it's more like he expects everyone else to be as good as he is, so he doesn't see
Mm,
himself as being like special. Like remember in the
mm,
first episode when he's talking to his one of his generals, where he knows the name of every one of their soldiers, and
mm,
he says something like, oh please, we only have like 10,000 soldiers. Anyone could
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
those names. And his general is like, what? So I think it's not that so much that he doesn't have confidence in himself. He just doesn't realize that he is Superman, essentially.
Hmm.
He doesn't realize that he's so much better than everyone else because he expects everyone to be as good as he is.
Hmm.
So I think it's more that's how you should see it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I want to ask you something like when it comes to Wayne's victories, I would say the most pull a rabbit out of a hat victory that he had was the last one when he convinced that guy to change sides there at the end. Like,
Ooh, yeah, that
the,
was good.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
the guy who didn't like the goods that came
from
from the
the
Empire, right?
east, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Did
that
you
was a
guys
very
feel
good
that that
one.
was believable or it was that too much?
Uh, the thing about the clothing being imbued with some poison,
Because they were yellow or something?
yeah, that was a stretch.
Hmm.
What do you think, Mikkel?
Thinking because I can't remember if I liked that or not because, like you said, I mean, it just seems like too much. Like, oh, I poisoned the whole area. Like, ah, what is this? But I think they saved it by, showing his thoughts like he was panicking. Like, it's totally a bluff. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just pulling something out of
Hmm.
my ass. I like that
Mm.
Yeah.
because he thinks it's completely unrealistic and completely bullshit, and he's like, how is this gonna work?
Hmm.
I I I, I kind of liked it, but it was ridiculous, the standoff. But
Hmm.
because he's forced, he's like panicking because he's like, this is unbelievable. I can't sell this.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed about it. It's like, yeah, it's all right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like with that. To me, I buy it, but it's on the edge.
Yeah, it's on the edge.
Yeah, and for me, it's saved by the other like threat that he gives with that he will have all of the citizens of Natra march towards this country. So there's
Hmm.
not just the poison goods part, but also that other threat, which I feel was a bit more believable threat.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, but for me, that was the closest that Wayne ever got to like I don't buy that he can fix this. Like,
Hmm.
but again, they managed to just barely like have it be believable enough in that I'm going okay, I can buy it.
Hmm.
But if they take it any further, then we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Mm. So, oh yeah, this is mine. Adaptation speedrun. Okay, be prepared.
Wait a second. I need to lay down because this is gonna. No, no, no. Wait. It's a speed run. Okay, I'm gonna
Yes.
sit up.
So this is based on some light novels that I've been reading even before they announced an anime, and they go through the story like Lightning McQueen.
Hmm.
Like when we're done with the first episode, we're halfway through the first book.
Whoa.
Yeah, they dedicate like 2 episodes to each book, if even that much. And
Ooh,
needless to say, they pick up all of the best parts of the story. They kind of take out. I feel.
the bot shit.
Mm.
They murder it.
Yeah, that's
It's
why
that
I
it's great.
hated the story the first time I saw the anime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And all those things that you mentioned that you like the politics, the scheming, and all that. That was the part of the books that they took out. The things that they kept in the show was there was the boob jokes, there was the bath scene. Very important that we kept that,
Oh.
and of course all the action. So that annoyed me a lot.
So actually, everything that we actually wish more of in the
There
series.
was more of in the book, yeah.
Oh, that's
Terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
They actually that like there's a scene in the books where Lovelmina, she when she first visits them, she wants to see how Wayne like rules his kingdom. Like he has to prove himself to her before she wants to bring him on to her plans. And then there's an entire scene where like the army is in like close to rebellion because there are different minorities in the army and all sorts of things. And there's different parts of Natra which has different ethnicities which don't like each other, so Wayne has to come down and try to fix, and that's all great scenes.
Everything is so. It sounds so interesting.
Yes, they
We
cut it
can't
out.
have that.
Nope. Instead, have another
No.
bad scene with all the female characters. That's what people want to see.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that just pissed me off. They,
Yeah, I
they
can
kept the
understand that.
bad scene, but they took out the political and maneuvering and yeah.
Yeah. And you just
Well.
know they're gonna fix it in season 2 by just adding some flashbacks or something, you know.
Oh god, I could
Oh.
totally see them do that. Yeah.
Well.
So
Well. Thank you, Mess. Thank you for
Ruining it.
telling me all. Yeah. Thank you for ruining it. Thank you
read
for
the
telling
books.
us
You can buy them on
everything we
Bookworker.
haven't got in this.
Oh, you can read the manga version. That's also option. Fun fact about this in that it was this anime that convinced me to actually start reading the book versions of Game of Thrones.
Mm.
Yeah, because I kept on comparing the book version of this show to the show version of Game of Thrones, and then I thought to myself, that's kind of unfair. So, so I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna read the book versions of Game of Thrones and see how good they are in comparison to the book version of this show. So I started reading the Game of Thrones books, and they're really good. Just saying that.
Oh. Cool.
Can recommend. Better than the show. So yeah. Okay, that's it. That's what I have for this.
Yeah.
This is not a good adaptation of the books, but I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Kingdom
get that.
management. Does it actually work? Mikkel, this was yours.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much covered most of it. But yeah, I would just like to talk about, you know, how they're telling this sort of thing, because I haven't seen that kind of thing in anime where they're showing like kingdom management, how they're scheming, how they're planning their diplomatic ties with everybody. I thought it was an interesting way to do it. And the reason I like this, I mean, it is kind of boring if you look at it. It's just management. I mean, that's not the most exciting thing. But because you have his force and he's like, I just want to sell my kingdom so I can get out of this mess. I think that helps it that you put this humor into management like this. The way I see it,
Yeah.
that's the part I like at least about this.
I'm in agreement with you, and I can tell you that actually are several anime which has like kingdom building is what it's generally called as a subgenre.
Okay.
Cool.
Where I think the most well known in that subgenre is actually an isekai, where it's called something like how a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom, something like that.
Oh.
And then there are other good ones like Tier Moon Empire I can recommend, and Snow White with the red hair is also a kingdom builder, though that's not really that much focus on
So
the
yeah,
royal family. So it is a subgenre that does
yeah.
exist. And I also really like it. I personally really like the kingdom building genre. I think it's very interesting, and I've also said that I like medieval settings. So, I mean, as far as kingdom building goes, I think this anime does a good job, but an alright job. But the books does a fantastic job. But that's again my perspective from having read the books, where there is a lot more kingdom building in the books. Where I think this anime does try to kind of go a little bit away from that and focus a lot more on kind of the interactions of the characters and some of the action scenes and all that. Vladdy, do you have something to comment?
I just want to say that I think management in itself it doesn't sound interesting for me at least. But because it has that character thing enveloped it. Again, it's not the kingdom building in itself. It's kingdom building from this character's perspective.
Yeah.
That's that is the thing that makes it interesting for me, at least. Because other than that, you could realistically just have some charts. But again, it's from a character's point of view, and again that can take many shapes. I would I really like, actually I really like Overlord.
Yeah.
I really like Overlord. It has some. Is it actually a kingdom building? I don't know if it's
I would say
kingdom.
it's a kingdom building. It also has a lot of other stuff, but I would say
Yeah, it
kingdom
has
building is
a.
also a part of it.
Yeah, it's also. But I really like that because we have a lot of good guys kingdom buildings animes.
So you want
but
bad guy kingdom building?
This is a bad guy kingdom building. This is the evil guy. So again, it can take so many shapes, and it's a very malleable subgenre. So yeah, in that perspective, it is a very interesting subgenre.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I actually would like there to be more kingdom building animes, and we've seen kingdom building. It doesn't actually have to be like a kingdom in that sense.
No.
I mean, I said before I like
City
medieval
building
setting, but
yeah.
I would be fine with like country building if we were going to make it bigger, or city building, like you said.
Yeah. So yeah, it's. I also think it's a very good way to introduce characters to a anime. Now, right now, I'm talking kingdom building in the broad term, in the broad scheme, because every time you need to have a new thing added to your kingdom or your city or your country or your whatever, it is optional to bring a new character who knows about one of these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great way to actually also introduce new characters.
I'm in agreement there. Or you could do like this show and just have Wayne be good at everything. Then you don't need more characters. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we agreement that kingdom building subgenre is can be pretty good, and this is a decent kingdom building show.
It's a decent, yeah.
I'm just gonna say there are better kingdom building animes out there that I have seen. So yeah, let's move on.
Hey!
We're done. Mikkel, now it's your turn on the throne. What anime?
No wheel.
No wheel because well, I could spin a wheel for you, but
bring the wheel. Bring the.
Do we have to? I mean, Mikkel would be the only guy on the wheel. All right, I can.
Yes. Bring the wheel. It's so interesting.
I'm always doing this in before we do this. Oh, there it is. All right, ready.
Yes, the wheel. Oh my God.
Mikkel, it's you.
What are the odds?
Right.
Okay, I chosen a classic anime that's been on my bucket list forever, but I never really had the time to watch it, so I thought, why not just put it here so we can watch it all together? I chose One Punch Man. It's been on my bucket list for a while.
Nice. Good choice.
Yes.
I don't know that much about this story, except it's like a guy who's incredibly strong.
And ball.
And what?
And ball. He doesn't have any hair.
And bald, yeah.
Hey, that's
The
an
two things I like.
important character trait.
Mm.
All right, yep, I'm with it. One Punch Man, the first season, right?
The first season, yeah.
Yeah, which as far as I remember is 12 episodes. It might be 13, but I think it's only 12 episodes.
I think it's 12. Yeah, I did look it up before, just to make
Yeah.
sure we didn't get like 30 episodes.
All right, I'm with that. Then
Me too.
all right. Thank you for listening, and remember to like and subscribe and to comment down below. This has been the Anime Masters of the Apocalypse, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.